Good morning. Namaste to each of you. Thank you for joining me this morning to honor your mind and your body and your spirit. Let's just take a moment to become present. Find a nice, comfortable seated position on a cushion or block, pillow, blanket, something that allows you to sit nice and tall, your spine and the back of your neck nice and straight, opening up your chest, and then opening up your diaphragm and opening up your heart. Gently close your eyes and soften your thoughts. Soften your eyes. Soften your shoulders. And soften your heart. Observe your breath as it is, soft and gentle, breathing life into you with each inhale, and relaxation with each exhale. Feel the grace of being present, returning to that awareness again and again. You may open your eyes now. For this morning's intention, you may think of a positive word or phrase to have with you on your mat and perhaps carry with you throughout the day. This morning's intention I'd like to talk about is Ahimsa. So we're going back to the beginning of the 8 limbs of yoga. And the very first limb of yoga is the Yamas. And the Yamas have 5 parts to them. And they're the guidelines on how to interact with the world. And the first Yama, the first guideline, the first way to interact with the world, and it really is the umbrella for yoga, it's umbrella for life. It's Ahimsa, which is Sanskrit for nonviolence. It invites us, Ahimsa invites us to be nonviolent, non-harmful, compassionate, and kind. You'll actually often see Ahimsa defined directly to kindness, skipping over the nonviolent, but they're all synonyms. We practice Ahimsa on the mat by being kind to our mind, not giving into negative thoughts about our practice today. It's practice, not perfect. We also practice Ahimsa by being kind to our body, compassionately listening to our body, finding that sweet spot. Because yoga should not harm our body, it should help us to be more mobile. And also Ahimsa on the mat, we would be kind to our spirit, always leading with our heart, not our ego. Listen to your heart today about what is good for you. Yoga helps us to be kind to ourselves on the mat so then we can be kind to ourselves and others off the mat. The Dalai Lama's quote, I love, he said, "Be kind whenever possible. It is always possible." So for our pranayama today, since we're kind of back at the beginning of the 8 limbs of yoga and the very first of those yamas, which is ahimsa, I thought we'd go back to the very foundation of the pranayama, which is Dirga. It's a complete breath. It's the way we should be breathing naturally. And I hope at this point in our practice, it may have become more of a natural breath for you rather than just breathing up in your upper chest part. So just take a few moments. I kind of did a spoiler alert there. Take a few minutes, close your eyes, and just feel your natural breath and where it emanates from. Is it from your stomach, up through your ribs, to your chest and down again? And it could be gentle, it doesn't have to be a big, massive feeling inhale and exhale. Just kind of follow that path of your breath and see if it sits down in your stomach or up in your chest. Just take a few moments to look at that. So when you assess that, when we go to the mat and start to do our asana practice and the sun breaths, we're going to try more forcibly to breathe from the stomach through the ribs up to the chest and then back again. So at this point, just to kind of get the feel of it, I am, instead of having more of a gentle, natural breath, let's just kind of take a moment and really emphasize that flow of breath from our stomach up. So I'm going to put my hand on my stomach and the other hand on my chest so I can just feel that rise up. So inhaling, maybe even extending your tummy in a purposeful way. Follow that breath up to your ribs, up to your chest, and then exhale. Just feel it release from your chest down to your ribs and release there, and then from your stomach. We'll just do 2 more of these. Inhale from your tummy, follow the breath up to your ribs, up to your chest. And then exhale from your chest, follow the breath to your ribs, and then to your tummy. And your tummy should release that breath. One last time. Inhale up, tummy, ribs, chest, and then chest on the exhale, releasing, ribs releasing, and stomach releasing. Great. And this morning's meditation, let me just take a few moments, and I'm going to introduce you to the mudra, Lotus Mudra. And the Lotus Mudra opens your heart center and creates a more loving attitude toward others. And to do this mudra, you bring your hands together, and then keeping your pinkies together and your thumbs together, open your fingers like the blossom petals of a lotus flower. And you would keep that at your heart center. Again, this opens your heart, creates more loving attitude toward others. So we'll take a few moments for meditation. You can do that mudra. I also have an affirmation for you if you prefer to do that. I've been kind of doing more affirmations with our meditation lately. And the affirmation would be, I lead with my heart, not my ego. I lead with my heart, not my ego. We'll just take a few moments here and I'll meet you on the mat. You may open your eyes and we'll begin our asana practice now. We'll start by doing the sun breaths. And again, I encourage you to do the Dirga breath where we feel coming like it's coming from your stomach up through your ribs and up to your chest. And don't force it if it's, if it's interrupting the flow and comfort of your asana practice. Try to achieve it and do what you can to be comfortable. Again, one of the things is to be kind to yourself on the mat. So again, no forcing of anything. So bringing our fingertips to the side, we're going to bring our fingertips up with the inhale. And bring them together overhead, palms together, come down to our heart center on the exhale. Then on the inhale, we're going to open up the hands, opening up the chest, opening up the heart. And then exhale, we'll close the hands in front of our heart. And then inhale, back up. And exhale, float the hands back down to the mat. And we'll do this a couple more times. Maybe keep it in sync with your breath. So you can go as slow or as fast as it works for you. And then bringing it down, hands to heart center. Opening up the hands, opening up the heart. Closing the hands, front of the heart. And then inhale up. And float your hands down. Inhale up. Exhale down. Inhale, open. Inhale, exhale, close rather, sorry. Inhale up. And exhale down. And then we'll bring our fingertips up to shoulder height. Nice straight back. And we're going to bring our arms out in front of us and then cross our right arm over our left arm and bring our right hand to our left shoulder, our left hand to our right shoulder. And hold on to our shoulders, tuck our chin toward our chest, and give ourselves a nice hug. It's a way to be loving to yourself and to others. It's often through the hug. And then we'll extend our hands back out. Arms at shoulder height. And then we're going to bring them back together toward one another, bringing our left hand over our right. Left hand comes to the right shoulder. Right hand comes to the left shoulder. Tuck your chin toward your chest and give yourself a nice big hug. And then we'll release. Uncross my legs and bring my right foot out in front of my left foot. So they're side by side. And we'll do a seated forward fold. Forward folds are really, and twists and heart openers, or chest openers are good for a summer practice, though it's not feeling very summery today. It's on the cool side, which I'll take. So we're going to walk our hands out in front, and again, you find that sweet spot, you know. Ahimsa says to be kind to your body by finding that sweet spot between effort and relaxation. And breathe into this pose, and maybe that'll give you a little bit more movement in your pose, bringing yourself closer to the ground. Then we'll grab our hands over to the right so that our torso is almost, again, find that sweet spot, but almost hovering over your thigh. And then walk the hands back toward your right knee. Lifting your right knee up to the sky, we wrap our left arm around the right knee and bring our right fingertips behind our hips and twist to the right. And it is raining out. It's a cool, rainy day here. We'll come back to center. We'll switch feet so the left foot's in front of the right. Again, walking our hands out in front of us, coming into a seated forward fold. Come to that sweet spot. And then breathe into it. And just notice if you can gain a little bit more movement in that pose with your breath. And then we'll crab our hands over to the left side to the point, maybe, that our torso is over our thigh. And then walk our hands back toward our knee. Our left knee then comes up toward the sky. Wrap our right arm around the left knee, sending our left fingertips behind our hips. twisting our torso to the left. And then we'll release. And we're going to roll down on our back. And today I'd like for you to extend your legs out straight, coming into staff pose to start with, pointing your toes. And then lifting your arms up, and we'll just roll back one vertebrae at a time. Really tucking your navel toward your spine. Feeling that action in your core. And once your spine is on the mat, you send both hands back above your head, and we're going to take a nice big stretch. Sending your fingertips one direction, sending your toes in the other direction, and just a nice big stretch. And then we'll bring our hands right under our head, so our head is resting on our hands, our elbows are out to the sides. Shoulder blades are nice and snug in our mat. And we'll slide the right foot up the left inner part of the leg to the point it reaches the knee, and the legs become a figure 4. Keeping our hands behind our head, we're going to put our right ankle on top of our left leg, right above the knee, and then slide our left foot up so that the left foot is on the mat, and we'll come into a reclined pigeon pose. And this may be sufficient for you, guiding your right knee over toward the right side of the mat. Or if you'd like a little bit more stretch, you can lift your left foot up off the mat, pointing and flexing both toes up toward the sky. And then we're going to bring the left leg toward our chest as we push the right foot into our leg, so creating a little resistance there. And then we'll bring our left foot back down to the mat, sliding the left foot all the way down the mat, keeping our right foot on our left leg. We're going to take our right knee and guide it 180 degrees over to the left side. And at this point, you can release your left hand and help guide that right knee over to the left side. And then we'll release that, send both feet back down to the mat, both hands above our head. And again, nice big stretch. Fingertips go in one direction, pointed toes in the opposite direction. Nice big stretch here. Big breath. And then we'll bring our hands again behind our head. Elbows are directly out to each side. Shoulder blades are nice and snug in the mat. And we'll slide the left foot up the inner part of the right leg to the point it reaches the right knee, and our legs become a figure 4. And then we'll place the right ankle on top of the left ankle on top of the right leg, right above the right knee. Slide our right foot up so that the sole of the foot's on the mat, and we come into a reclined pigeon pose. Again, this might be sufficient for you. Again, be kind to your body. And lead with your heart, not your ego. It's one of the advantages of doing yoga online, is that you don't look to your neighbor to see what they're doing. Oh, I should be doing that. It's really conducive to that, leading with your heart, not your ego. So then we can lift, if you want to go further, lift the right foot off the mat, flexing both toes up to the sky, guiding the right thigh toward our chest as we push against that with our left ankle, creating that resistance. And then putting the foot back down on the mat, sliding it all the way down to the end, keeping the left foot on top of the right. We're going to take that left knee and go 180 degrees over to the right side. You can release your right hand and guide your knee a little bit further for a reclined twist. And then back to center. We'll slide both feet down. And then bring both knees to our chest, give them a nice hug. Maybe rock our lower back, massaging it. And then you can, we're going to come up to tabletop. So you can either tip over and come up to a seated position, or if you'd like, you can rock and roll from your back, just rocking and rolling on your spine, maybe giving your spine a massage, coming up to a seated position. Legs are crossed, and then you reach over to the mat and come up onto your hands and knees from that crossed leg position. Tabletop, our shoulders and our wrists are lined up, one over the other. Knees and hips are lined up. Fingers spread wide apart. Index finger point up to the top of the mat. Navel tucked to the spine, creating a nice flat back. And then we'll gently do some head turns. So we're going to sweep our head from looking down, looking at Drishti, you're looking straight ahead. And then we're going to turn our head to the right side and look straight ahead to the right. And then dropping it back down. So we're looking at the mat again, and then turning our head to the left. And then we'll just go back and forth, creating a nice even flow. Maybe synchronizing this with your breath. And then back to center, and then we'll go from here into cat-cow. So we're going to round our back, dropping our head and tailbone down. Then inhale, lifting our head up, finding that Drishti spot ahead of us. Head and tailbone are up. And then exhale, rounding our back, dropping our head, tailbone down. And inhale, come back up, sending our gaze straight out, tailbone up. And then again, see if you can synchronize that with your breath. Inhaling and exhaling to the movements. We'll do this just a few more times. Really stretch into it. And then come back to center. We'll go into bird dog. So we bring our knees together underneath our hips, so our knees are touching. Our weight is evenly distributed in our hands and gently pushing down so that we're creating that space between our shoulders and our ears. Then we're gonna lift our right leg up to hip height, lifting our left arm up to shoulder height. And we'll point on the inhale, flex our foot, toes pointing down on the exhale. Point, inhale, flex, 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 exhale, and bring both hand and knee back down. We'll do that on the other side. So lifting our left leg up, hip height. Lift our right arm up, shoulder height. Point on the inhale, flex on the exhale. Point, inhale, flex, 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 exhale, and bring both hand and knee back down. Then we'll tuck our toes under, walk our hands back, coming into a squat on the balls of our feet. And then pushing down, coming up to mountain pose. We'll have our toes pointing to the straight edge of the mat. Lifting our toes up off the mat, spread them apart as far as you can. And then bringing them back down to the mat, lifting our heels off the mat. And then bringing our heels back down, really feeling that grounding, that connecting, that support of the earth. And in mountain pose, also the essentials of good posture. So our legs are nice and straight and strong, a gentle bend in the knees, navel tucked to the spine, spine and the back of the neck are nice and long, shoulders are relaxed and rolled back, opening up your chest. Chin is tucked slightly toward your chest, just kind of pushing it back, not having your chin jut out. And the crown of your head is reaching up to the sky. We'll sweep our hands all the way up overhead with a big inhale. And then exhale, bringing our hands all the way down to the mat, bending our knees as we go, support our lower back. And then inhale, bringing our hands to our shins. We'll send our hands, slide them all the way up to our thighs today, creating a little bit of like a chicken wing with our arms, but really straightening, focusing on straightening the spine, having that nice long line of spine and neck. And then slide our hands back down and just let them hang. Dropping the crown of our head down toward the mat. Just let gravity take over for a moment. And then sweeping our hands from the mat all the way up overhead. We'll come up onto our tippy toes. And then we're going to bring our hands back down as we bring our heels back down to the mat. And then we'll do that a few more times, sweeping our hands slowly up, and then slowly coming up onto our tippy toes. And then bringing our hands back down, and slowly bringing our heels back down. And one last time, sweeping up. Big inhale as we go, coming up onto our tippy toes. And then coming back down. Slowly landing our heels on the mat. Then we'll send our hands all the way down to the mat, bending our knees as we go. And then inhale, bringing our hands to our shins. And then slide the hands all the way up to the tops of the thighs, creating that nice straight back neck, gazes down. And then sliding our hands back down, just sending the crown of our head down. And sweeping our hands all the way up overhead. Palms come together. We're going to take our right hand and wrap it around our left wrist. And we'll guide the left hand over to the right side, creating a nice crescent shape. Side stretch. And then inhale, come back up. Switch hands. Left hand wraps around the right wrist. And we'll guide our right hand over to the left side, creating a nice crescent shape here. And then back to center. And we'll bring our hands back down to the mat, bending our knees as we go. Hands come up to the shins and then slide up to the tops of the thighs. Nice straight back. And then slide the hands back down, sending the crown of the head down toward the mat. And then sweeping our hands all the way up. Big inhale. Hands come up overhead. Palms come together. Palms come to heart center. And here we're just going to do a leg lift and then bring our leg out to the side. So with our hands together, heart center, I'm going to actually plant my left foot first and raise my right leg up, just like it's sitting in a chair at that 90-degree angle. Get my gaze out directly in front of me, drishti, finding a spot, Pataka. And then I'm going to take my knee with my right hand and I'm going to guide it over to the right side. And then lower it back down to the mat. And we'll do that on the other side. Find myself a little flatter spot on the floor. So again, hands at heart center. I have old wooden floors, so they're warped all over the place. So lifting the left knee up. So that's at a right angle. And just find my stability here. And then with my left hand, I'm going to take my left knee and send it over to the left side. Finding that drishti straight ahead of me, the Chataka spot. And then release. Great. And then sweeping our hands up overhead. And then sending them all the way down to the mat, bending our knees as we go. One last time for forward folds. Sliding our hands to our shins, and then sliding them all the way up to the top of the thighs. Half forward fold. And then sliding our hands down as we send our crown of our head down toward the mat. And sweeping our hands all the way up. Nice big inhale. Hands come up over our head. Hands come to heart center. And hands come to the back of our hips. Shoulders are relaxed and rolled back. Tuck our chin toward our chest. And just gently Send our shoulders back for supported back bend. And finding that sweet spot between effort and relaxation, being kind to our body. And then coming back up again. We'll sweep our hands up overhead. Big inhale. Exhale, bringing them back down to the mat. Placing our hands on the mat. We're going to send both feet back to downward dog. So we'll have our hands with our fingers spread apart. Index finger pointing to the top of the mat. And our feet are back and pedaling. Arms are straight. Chest is reaching toward our thigh, sending our hips up. Just pedal out here for a moment. And then we're going to take our left knee, bring it to the left elbow, pushing off with our right toes. And then back again and pedal. And then we'll do that again. Left knee to left elbow, pushing off with our right toes. And then back again. Pedal out. And on the third time, we're going to bring that left foot all the way up between our hands, coming into runner's lunge. So inhale, lifting our left foot up, coming all the way up so that our knee is right above our ankle. Back foot is the heels pushing to the back of the mat. Right hand's flat on the mat, and we're going to sweep our left hand all the way up to the sky. Follow it with your gaze. And then we're going to bring the left hand back down, but we're going to put it right beside our right hand so that both hands are on the inner part of our left foot. We're going to come into lizard pose. So with our hands on the inner part of our left foot, the left knee is kind of against our left shoulder. We can either stay up here with our foot tucked under, or bring our knee down to the mat, our foot flattened out. That's another version. And another version yet would be to bring your elbows down to the mat. Follow your heart today. See what works for you. And then coming back up. Hands are on the mat, tucking our toe under if it's not already. We're going to walk our hands along the long side of the mat, coming into a wide-legged stance. Our toes are going to be tucked in, heels are out a little bit. We're going to walk our hands over to our right leg. Say hello to our kneecap. And then walk our hands all the way over to our left leg. Say hello to our left kneecap. And then walking our hands, we're going to pivot our feet back to runner's lunge. And then we're going to bring our left foot down to meet our right foot, coming into plank pose. Plank pose, our navel's tucked to the spine, elevating our hips so we don't have a saggy tummy. And then we're going to bring our torso down, either knees, chest, chin, or chaturanga, keeping our elbows tucked to the side. And then slowly lifting our chin, our chest up, pushing down, coming into cobra. And then keep pushing to tabletop and then to child's pose. And then back up to tabletop, tucking our toes under. You lift up to downward dog. And then slowly walk our feet to our hands. Coming to forward fold. And sweeping our hands all the way up overhead. Palms come together. Palms come to heart center. And we'll go into tree pose. So I'm going to have my left foot planted, and I'm going to turn my right foot and slide it up my leg to the point where I need to assist it with my hand. Bringing it as high up as it can go to my thigh. And once I find that stability I'm looking for, and finding my drishti gaze, when I feel nice and stable. I mean, trees are rooted down, they do sway in the breeze, but they are firmly rooted into the ground. And then I'm going to make that Lotus Mudra. So again, my pinkies and my thumbs stay together, palms stay together, and the other fingers open up like a lotus blossom petals, right at my heart center. All right, and we'll release that, and we'll do that on the other side. So, back to mountain pose. We'll sweep our hands all the way up overhead, and then bring our hands all the way down to the mat, planting both hands on the mat, sending both feet back for downward dog. And we'll just walk our dog for a moment. And then we'll bring our right knee to our right elbow, pushing off with our left toes. And then back to downward dog, and pedal out. Again, right knee to right elbow. And then back to downward dog. Pedaling out. And then we'll bring our right foot between our hands, coming into runner's lunge. So inhale, bringing our right foot up. Knees right over the ankle. Back foot's pushing to the back of the mat with the heel. Our left hand is planted on the mat. We're going to sweep our right hand all the way up. Follow it with our gaze. The right hand goes up to the sky. And then comes back down. And when it lands on the mat, it's going to be right beside the left hand. Both hands are on the inner part of the foot, coming into lizard pose. Then you can stay here. Or if you'd like, you can drop your left knee to the mat, top of your left foot to the mat. Stay there. Your right knee's against your right shoulder. Or you can drop your elbows and forearms to the mat. Whichever works for you today. And then we'll come back up. Hands planted on the mat, toes tucked under. We'll walk our hands along the long side of the mat, coming to a wide-legged stance. Our toes are tucked in, kind of pigeon-toed, with our heels out. And then we'll walk our hands over to our left leg. Say hello to our left knee. And then over to our right leg. Walking our hands slowly over there, saying hi to our right knee. And then we're going to pivot both feet back to runner's lunge. And send the right foot down to meet the left, coming into plank pose. Shoulders are above the wrists. Feet are nice and firm on the mat with the heels pushing to the back of the mat. Navel's tucked to the spine, elevating hips slightly. And then lowering to the mat, either knees, chest, chin, or chaturanga. And then with our hands beneath our shoulders, we'll raise our chin, our chest, slowly pushing into our hands, coming into cobra. Elbows are tucked to the side. And inhaling up to tabletop and down to child's pose. Then back up to tabletop. Tuck our toes under, lift our hips to downward dog. And pedal up here just for a moment. And then slowly walk our feet up to our hands. Coming into a forward fold. And then sweeping our hands all the way up overhead. Palms come together. Palms come to heart center. And we'll do tree pose on the other side. So I'm planting my right foot into the mat. Then I'm going to take my left foot and slide the sole of my left foot up my leg to the point where I might need to guide it a little further up. And then find that stability by utilizing the drishti and the tritaka. Finding that spot, the tritaka. And then using that mudra, I'm gonna create that nice lotus mudra by keeping my pinkies and thumbs together and the palms together, opening up the other fingers like petals of the lotus blossom. Creating a loving feeling toward others. And then release. Well done. We'll take our pinky toes out to the edges of the mat. Heels are tucked in. Hands at heart center. And we'll lower down into our wide-legged squat. So just lowering our hips down to the mat. Sending the knees out to the sides. Bringing our torso between the legs. Elbows are resting on the inner part of our knees. We'll just create a nice stretch here. Then we'll bring our sit bones down into the mat. And we can roll down on our back. You can roll down any way you'd like. I'm going to use the express method, tucking my hands under my knees and just setting my back down to the mat, rolling back. And give my knees a nice hug, my fingers interlaced. Maybe rock back and forth, give my lower back a nice massage. And then we're going to put our soles of our feet on the mat. We're going to do a few bridge poses. So with our legs about hip width apart, knees pointing up to the sky, heels are tucked back toward your hips. Arms are alongside with your hands on the mat for support. We're going to round our lower back so it creates kind of a bowl. These kind of cat-cows. So this one's cat. And then release that so it creates kind of a cow. So that we have a little bit of an arch on our back. And then again, round our back so it's creating a bowl. And then we're going to push down to our heels, lifting our hips up to the sky. And just come up as far as it's comfortable for you. Again, your arms alongside with your palms down, provide some support. Gaze should be straight up to the sky. And then slowly lower one vertebrae down at a time. Coming back down to the mat. And we'll do that 2 more times. So with the cat, creating that bowl in your tummy, cow, a little bit of an arch, then back to cat, and then pushing down into our heels, to our feet, lifting our hips up to the sky. And then slowly lowering our spine back down to the mat, really feeling the connection of each vertebrae. And one last time, create the bowl for cat, a little bit of arch for cow, back to the cat bowl, lifting our hips up by pushing down to our feet. And then slowly lowering one vertebrae at a time. And we'll slide our feet down to the end of the mat. Lift our arms up over our heads so they're on the top of the mat. We're going to send our right foot to the right side of the mat, just so that it dangles just outside the mat, hits the floor instead of the mat. Then we'll send our left foot over beside it, or if you'd like, you can cross over your right leg with your left ankle. And then up above, we're going to take our right hand, wrap it around our left wrist, and guide our left wrist over to the right side for banana pose. And our shoulders should be still kind of snug in the mat. And breathe into this. And then release our hands, release our legs, come back, stretching our fingers up above, pointing our toes. We're going to send our left foot over to the left side, just so that it's just outside of the mat. So guide our right foot over, and they can sit side by side, or if you like, you can cross your right foot over your left at the ankles. Then we'll take our left hand, wrap it around our right wrist, and guide our right hand over to the left side of the mat. And then release our hands, release our legs. Bring our arms down and prepare for Shavasana. So our heels go out to the corners, let our feet flop open. Let our bones and our muscles, everything just relax into the mat. Feel the earth support us. Palms facing up. We take a few deep breaths. And on each exhale, release further into the mat. So with our theme today of Ahimsa, and the Sanskrit translation is non-violence, I thought I'd go over the Reverend Martin Luther King Jr.'s 6 principles of nonviolence. And he and Gandhi and John Lewis, many people have made significant progress in the world by nonviolence. So these are the 6 principles of nonviolence by Reverend Martin Luther King Jr. 1, nonviolence is a way of life for courageous people. 2, nonviolence seeks to win friendship and understanding. 3, nonviolence seeks to defeat injustice, not people. I'll read that again. Nonviolence seeks to defeat injustice, not people. 4, nonviolence holds that suffering can educate and transform. 5, nonviolence chooses love instead of hate. 6, nonviolence believes that the universe is on the side of justice.